All right. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to Real Estate Bites. Coming at you most Fridays here in the lunch hour. I'd love to bring some real estate news, information, and sometimes insight, pulling back the curtain on the industry every once in a while. That's something I want to do today. So, the topic of the day is I want to talk about a little productivity hack for you guys, especially for you sales professionals. That's really who this is targeted at. See, I know that I have a lot of other real estate agents who watch this program. So this one is for you and any other real estate pro who might be watching, because I think, or sales pro rather, who might be watching, because this is applicable no matter what you're selling, um, especially if you are a consultative salesperson who really has to use creativity to generate and drive business. So, at any rate, let's jump into it. You know, so much of what we do as sales professionals, real estate agents, it goes unseen by the public. One of the biggest questions that I always hear is, "Well, what do you guys actually do?" And there's a lot of things, but unless you are communicating well to your clients about what steps you're taking, what things you're working on, they have no idea what you're doing. And so, if you're not letting them know, and if you're not taking credit for every piece of work that you're doing on their behalf, you're kind of doing yourself a big disservice. So, nevertheless, that's not what this is about. This is about a productivity hack that I want to share with you guys. So, again, for context, a lot of things we do, right? We have to create something out of nothing. If you're a consultative salesperson, an entrepreneur, you got to create something out of nothing every single day. Like, there's no guarantee you're going to get paid. There's no guarantee business is coming. So you have to figure out different methods to drum up that business, right? So this is a daily pursuit. You're not getting paid until you close the deal, right? And so that said, having discipline around the way you use your time is absolutely critical, right? And there's time that we spend doing things that the customer does see, right? Like they know when we're obviously showing homes, or we're working with them to put together the offer. We are, we may be researching different properties and coming back to them with the findings that we have. We got to call a city, a building department to check on zoning, stuff like this, right? Activities that we do that we bring back to our clients, that they know about. But then there's so much stuff, and probably I would say if you're a full-time sales professional, this probably is happening more so than anything that our customers are seeing, and that is the amount of time spent basically thinking and planning. I mean, there are the systems that you need to have to consistently develop and generate business and leads. It takes time to develop those systems. Those systems always need to be reviewed and revised and improved upon. All that stuff takes time. There's marketing plans. How do I advertise? There's how do you answer the age-old question in a sea of real estate agents? I mean, in the greater Cleveland area, I think there's around 6,000 licensed real estate agents. Well, how do I stand out as an individual amongst all those people, right? And it takes planning, it takes ideas, and those things happen with just thought. I mean, I can't tell you how many times working from home, one of my family members, my wife or my kids will look at me and they're like, "Well, you're just sitting there doing nothing," because it looks like I'm just staring off into space. When the reality is, I'm thinking either about a marketing campaign, what relationships do I need to work on? What was the last time that I called on these potential leads? When's the next time I need to call on them? What is the communication that I need to send? How am I supposed to craft the best offer on behalf of my clients? What advice am I to give? What's the best counter offer that we should put together, and how is that going to affect the psychology on the other side of the deal? I mean, these are things that are done that are not tangible, right? These are things you can't put a finger on. You can't see them. Everything's happening in the mind of the sales professional, and it requires a great deal of time and effort. And so in order to do that, you know, there's the concept of time blocking, and I believe in it. I utilize time blocking. There are certain times of the day where I do very specific activities. Time blocking is something that everybody should take care of. But the problem in, say, especially real estate, is that you can set aside specific times during the day where you intend to do something, but the marketplace itself will interrupt your flow and pull you away from whatever you were trying to do, whether you're writing an outline for a marketing plan, a campaign, whether you're writing down your business planning for the relationships you want to create in the upcoming quarter, whatever it might be, whatever you're working on is frequently interrupted by the marketplace. You get a question or a client or a concern, a question or a concern from a client that you need to address. A problem comes up with an appraisal or title work, and now you need to make your rounds of calls, right? That can eat up a whole day. If an issue comes up in a deal and you got to reach out to the other side, you got to research a solution or solutions, figure out what's going to be the one that best protects your client. And then you're reaching out to everybody who's touching the deal to let them know what's going on, and the decisions are made. And now you got to go back out and take further action on that solution. And then there's something results of that. Now you got to make your rounds go, right? That can take an entire day to get through. So there are plenty of interruptions that happen that will interrupt the flow of the planning process, of the time blocking process. But there's one hack that I want to give you guys that's going to help. Now, I talk about time management a lot with my team, with other agents, with other sales professionals. I talk about time blocking. And a lot of people still, even though they understand the concept and even though they try to put it into place, they still struggle being as productive as they want to be or need to be, even with time blocking in place. So here's a little hack to help. Turn off the notifications on your phone. All right? Turn them all off. I have gone years with all my notifications turned off. Guys, if a text message comes in, a Facebook message or post or LinkedIn or whatever, all the tons of apps that I got on this thing that all have notifications, the notifications are turned off. Maybe not the banner notifications, but what's definitely turned off is any noise that it might make. So if I am locked in on some task, on something that I'm trying to accomplish, right? There's no noise that's going to be made. When I do this program, I'm sitting here on a MacBook. I've got an iPhone and an iPad open next to me. I hit the do not disturb button. It connects to all three devices. None of this stuff is making any noise while I'm doing this program, right? All my notifications are turned off. They make no noises. I'm not aware. That way I can lock in and do my thing, because I know I've seen it happen to so many people, and it used to happen to me. You're trying to get something done. You're writing an outline to the next presentation. You're talking about putting together, your first time home buyer seminar, or, sell a home seminar, or whatever it is that you're planning and that you want to execute. And in the middle of trying to do this, your phone goes off. And what do? You hear the noise, you look at it, right? And most people, they see the notification and they respond to it, right? So that just broke your concentration, pulled you away from the task at hand. God forbid it's some bullshit Facebook notification that draws you into some rabbit hole of garbage. And now you've just spent 20 to 30 minutes looking at stupidity, and you've lost that time. You're never getting it back. And so you just lost 20 to 30 minutes doom scrolling through garbage. You finally pull yourself away from it because you feel guilty. You got to get back to work. But you kind of got to start over a little bit. You got to remember where you were, try to recapture the flow of your thought process, and start to reiterate that thought process and execute in whatever it is that you are into, right? Turn off your notifications, okay? You don't need to answer that text message right now, right? If it's that important, somebody's going to call you, right? If it's really that important and that pressing, that person's going to text you and then call you and then text you again and then call you again. And they're going to get your attention and you're going to answer that. But that one single text message, you don't need to answer it right now. So I'll ignore it for 1 to 2 hours at a time while I'm doing the things that I need to do to be as productive as I need to keep my business operating systematically and consistently over time. I ignore this stuff. And when I get back to it, another thing that's helpful too is I'll have 20, 30, 40 notifications, right? But because there are so many, it's really easy for me to ignore all the garbage and just take care of the ones that are actually important and start those communications, right? Here's another little hack. This is a freebie for you guys, all right? There's really no such thing as a real estate emergency, at least not for what we do that falls within our work. Yeah, on occasion, there are problems that come up. If you're working on a tight deadline, you got a closing date that's in the next couple of days and something comes up, you might need to drop everything and address it. If an offer comes in on one of your listings, you definitely should drop everything and address that offer and present with your people. If your buyer wants to write an offer, right, you definitely should drop everything and get to writing that offer on behalf of your buyer, because there's no greater task, there's no greater event in our world as real estate salespeople than the offer, whether you're writing it or receiving it on behalf of a client, right? So aside from that, if somebody's got an emergency at their home, they probably shouldn't be calling you. They need to be calling a plumber or the police or something, but probably not me, right? So at any rate, because there's not really a real estate emergency that I need to address right now, that stuff can wait. And even for some of those other things that, you need to respond to something in short notice, if I'm putting it off for an hour or two, it's not a big deal. Okay. I rarely answer my phone, and I know this is going to grill the cheese for a lot of people out there, but I rarely answer my phone because I'm always in the middle of doing something. I'm always doing something. Most hours of every day I have planned to do something, whether it's real estate related or coaching sports related or community related or family related. I've got something that's going on. So I don't answer my phone. I will get to those people when I can get to those people, right? I have to manage my communications in that way to stay as productive as I need to in order to run this business. I simply have to. And if you're trying to level up your productivity, these are the kinds of things you really ought to consider, right? Whenever I am working on something, if I get a message from another agent and I say, yeah, I'll take care of that, I look into that, and I get another message 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, hey, do you know anything yet? That tells me that agent probably don't have a whole lot going on. This is probably their only deal. They're desperate. They're counting their money already. And they're a bit freaked out because they got nothing else to work on. But it's almost never that urgent. Almost never, right? So I have certain times during the day where I call out to the other industry professionals. And then I have a certain time of the day where I'm calling out to my clients to update stuff. If I have other calls, I use any commute that I have, whether I'm headed from the office to showings or back home or whatever it might be. My commute time is also phone time, because what else am I doing? I'm driving. So it's a great time to dial somebody up, have a conversation, Bluetooth while I'm driving my car, and take care of business, right? But that's the hack. Turn off your notifications on your phone. Ignore it. You'll be just fine if you get to it in 2 hours. I promise you, you're not going to lose the business. If you lose the business because you put off communicating for 2 hours, you probably had already done something to piss that person off in the first place. And that 2 hours was the last straw for them. But there's no emergencies, guys. Turn off your notifications. Stay focused on the task at hand. Level up your productivity. All right. Okay. Let's get into this past week's real estate statistics. All right. So every week, as you guys know, I take a look at all of the sales that occurred in the week prior, from Friday to Friday, from Real Estate Bites to Real Estate Bites. All of these stats come from the MLS that I'm a part of, which is MLS Now, serves Northeast Ohio, parts of West Virginia. But I only look at the stats from Lorain County. It's where my business is based, blah, blah, blah. Also, with the exception of a couple of these columns here, I'm using median calculations, right? And the reason I use median is because it gets rid of outliers. You know, when you're looking at median value, which is our sale price, which is column F, right? That's going to get rid of, you know, the $2 million sale that happens on the lake that could skew all of the averages, or the $10,000 sale that, you know, happened in, I don't know, some beat up house that is just in terrible shape. And those still happen. $10,000 sales still happen, even in Lorain County on occasion, right? Those things are outliers that will skew averages. So the median, that's a sale price that's right in the middle of the pack, is much more representative of what's going on. So, all right, anyway, here we go. We start here with column C, all right? So column C is the number of available units for sale this morning at 8 a.m. when I check. These are single-family residences and condominiums. I don't look at multifamily. I don't look at mobile homes, okay? There were 53 units for sale. You can see that is significantly down. We're down 21 units from just a week ago and 42 units from 2 weeks ago. So inventory has dipped again. The median square feet of the homes sold last week was 1,836 square feet. All right. The median sale price was $325,000. Median square foot price was $182.50. So I didn't make a mistake here. I was supposed to take a look at what has happened with median square foot value. So when we looked at Q2, the end of Q2, our average median square foot value was $170.24 square feet. So let's take a look at what happened up through Q3. Our average is $175.54, if you can see it over there. All right. So our average median was $175.54. This is important because what we're looking at here, guys, is our prices continuing to creep up? And so the metric that I'm using to see price action, engage price action in real time, is the square foot value, the median square foot value of homes being sold. And I'm looking at that quarter after quarter. So let's run back to the beginning. First time I took a look was in Q4 of 2023. We start here with a average median square foot value of $148.32. The next quarter, it dropped by nearly $5. But since then, we went up to $156.17, then up to $160.82. We had a slight drop here. The next quarter at $159. I would say that's more just staying stagnant. Then we're up to $164.90, right? So we are continuously going up and up and up. $170.24 was the previous quarter, and now we're at $175.54. So you hear about it's such a tough market, and for a lot of agents, it is. Like, if you're not taking care of your time management, if you're not building and developing systems, if you're not marketing yourself properly, you're not selling a whole lot of real estate right now, right? And if these are problems that you're experiencing against your best efforts, maybe you should give me a ring and we'll have a talk about how we can help develop your business, all right? DM me if that's your story. So at any rate, you hear about, record low sales in real estate, and all that stuff is true. And my argument week after week, year after year has been this is a supply and demand equation, simple as that. And as long as the supply of homes remains as low as it has, the prices are going to keep going up, because as long as, even though demand has shrunk, even though demand is down, there's still enough demand on good homes that it's continuing to drive prices up little by little, year after year, okay? We need more houses for sale, period. Listen, higher prices means higher commissions for me and my team. I like getting paid. I love making money. But higher prices prices this high, I mean, this number right here, 325, is over double the median home value in Lorain County when I started in late 2017. I started just 8 years and a couple weeks is when I began my real estate sales career. And this median square foot value of median sales price of $325,000 is over double what the median home value was when I started, which was right around $165,000. Now, is this the true median square foot? This is only true for last week. I would say the true median square foot or a median sale price is more around $280,000, right? So that's still obviously a tremendous increase. And we all know this happened post-COVID, but the point is, despite what you might hear on the news, home prices are going up and they're going to continue to creep up unless this number here, this C column, really begins to grow, right? Now, this 524, so this is October. We got 524 single family homes and in condos on the market, right? A year ago, if we go back to October of 2024, we got 445, 449, 457, right? So we're right around 450 is the average number of units on the market a year ago, right? So we are basically 75 units more. We're 25% inventory, 30% inventory higher than we were year over year, but it's still not enough to slow down the price appreciation of homes because of the low inventory we have. 6 years ago, this number was more than double what it is right now. 6 years ago, it was 1,100 to 1,200 homes on the market at this time. All right. We need to see this number creep up into the 800-900s before we really start to see balance and any sort of correction in home prices. All right. Median time on market for homes sold last week was 26 days. And an interest rate for a 30-year conventional note was 6.23% this morning. The big sale of the week was in Avon Lake for $885,000. Let's take a look at this guy. This big, beautiful brick right here. All right. And we'll scroll through these pics. As you can imagine, I mean, not one of the newest developments, but beautiful. I mean, you got the knotty pine cabinets here. That's kind of a dated look, although in some cases I've seen it coming back. But nevertheless, I mean, a big, gorgeous house, trade ceilings in the formal dining room. Some more dated finishes, but, $885,000. There's your master bath. Plenty, standalone soaking tub, architectural features above the arched windows. I mean, beautiful, beautiful construction, beautiful architecture inside and out. No surprise that this behemoth sold for $885,000. If you bring all modern, trendy finishes into this home, which I know is no cheap price tag, you're pushing $1 million with this home here in Avon Lake. I'm not sure if the lift came with the garage, but if it did, that's cool. There's your basement. Backyard's pretty beautiful. Nice big 3-car garage you see there. Beautiful backyard, brick paver patio. So anyway, that's the big one for the week. Listen, guys, as always, I appreciate you joining me week after week. If this information is useful, helpful, entertaining at all to you and your friends, your family members, please share this program with them. I'll be back again and again and again. And as always, take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. I love you, people. I'll see you next week.